So, today's video is going to be a little different. I am getting ready to sharpen something. Nozzle is so... At any rate, so basically I'm getting ready to start some freehand sharpening on some water stones. I figured I haven't ever done it before. I'll get everything set up and we will see. It's kind of a cloudy day here in San Diego. But we'll see if I can't get a video that shows some of my freehand sharpening. There's going to be a lot of editing. This one's not going to be a quick, just throw it up kind of video. So, all right. So real quick, before I actually start sharpening, there was two real quick things I wanted to mention. This video is because I had someone say, you know, hey, we've never actually seen you sharpen a knife. And I think they forget, I've done a couple quick videos of sharpening a knife, but never really me actually just sharpen a knife. I did that thinning a kitchen knife thing. But so at any rate, a couple things that a couple people had asked me and I was going to answer to was the water stones. Water stones, if you have problems with your water stones and they're just not wanting to build a slurry and they're loading up and they just don't look right and you put water on it, it soaks in. You haven't let them soak long enough. You've got to let them soak up enough water. The other thing was, people that have a hard time sharpening, a lot of times it's because they don't spend enough time on the coarse stones at the beginning. When you're sharpening your coarse stones, and I don't have one here, but okay, say this is a coarse stone. This would be your coarser stones are the ones that are doing all the work. You're going to spend the longest time on your coarse stones. If you get impatient and you haven't fully apexed that edge, because that's all you're doing. The first stone is the one that actually does the work. You apex the edge. You bring it all the way up to where it's even on both sides and you get the burr. That's called apexing. That's what your coarse stone does. After that, all you're doing is removing that scratch pattern. You're just taking off that scratch pattern and polishing and refining that edge. You're not actually the coarser, you know, as you go, you start with like 1,000, you know, 220, whatever you start with. As you go up, yeah, you are still kind of apexing the edge, but you've done the majority of the work. If you try to lay that off till later because you get impatient and you're tired of dealing with that coarse stone and it makes a mess and all that, you are not going to get a good end result and you're going to wear out your more expensive stones. Like I said, the finer the stone, the more expensive it is. Hands down. You get up, that's why some people are like, oh man, I can't believe you charge like between $20 and $35 to sharpen a knife. Well, I've got stones that I use on your knives that can cost anywhere between $110 and $250 per stone, and they wear out. So just that's real quick. If you don't spend enough time on the coarse stones, you're not going to, you can, as you progress up, it will work its way out, but you're not going to be it's not going to be as efficient a job as it would be if you had used the coarse stones properly. Oh, dropped you. Almost knocked you over. All right, guys, so I'm getting ready to start. These stones are soaked pretty well. Another little tip that I'll give you, this is a high carbon steel blade. And the issue you would have with some of these, sometimes these water stones, the water winds up having a little bit of a higher pH than you would really want. And so pro tip is a little bit of baking soda in the water can kind of help prevent, it can help prevent the rust that you'll get when you do some of these high carbon steel blades on water stones. Now, this is a fairly coarse Japanese water stone. And it's not a real expensive one. These ones are fairly cheap. You can pick these up pretty easy. These are King Homestones, what they call them. And but I like them. I like it because it builds a slurry fairly quick. It does a fairly decent job. It's as it builds its slurry, it brings up a new coating of the abrasive matrix, and it's constantly, this one cuts consistently. You don't have to worry about stopping and rinsing it or anything like that. With this metal, I'm probably not going to do a lot of pressure, and this knife's going to be fairly easy. It's got basically it's like a Scandi grind. But you just want to make sure that you're maintaining the constant pressure for the full length of the blade the whole time. And you should wind up with a fairly decent end result. And like I said, I don't want you guys to think that I'm selling myself out as that I'm talking myself up, I do anything special. There's nothing special to what I do. I've just done and practiced a lot. Lots and lots and lots of practice is what it takes to do what I do to a knife. And my customers seem pretty happy with the end result. I haven't had anybody complain yet. I mean, eventually, I'm sure I will eventually, but all right, so basically this is as you can see, it's building that slimy, slurry matrix. That's what you want, though. That's what does a lot of the work, is that matrix that it builds up as the stone starts to come apart. So this is a laminated steel blade, and here in a second I'm going to wipe it off. We're going to look at it, because you can, as you sharpen, you can really start to see that that lamination showing up. So hang on a second, let me rinse this thing off. You might not be able to see it real clearly, but you can see the darker, softer steel and the lighter, harder laminate. And like I said, this is going to be a boring video. I spent a lot of hours of my life out here just doing this. But the weather here in San Diego is pretty nice, so I don't have a lot to complain about. It could be worse. Be doing this out in the yard at my in-laws' house, getting chewed up by mosquitoes and be 1,000 degrees outside. I'd love it. But this is about all I'm going to record on this stone. I will bring you guys back. I have I'll show you how to use a nigiri stone to build a slurry if you don't want to let it build naturally, like I currently am. So yeah, I'm going to pause this and I will come back to you guys here in a little bit. Alright guys, I actually had to switch to a different stone. I needed something coarser than that king stone, because I realized that this is a hand ground Japanese folding knife. There's an old guy that makes them. He's the last living member of the guild. He's the only person that's allowed to make them under this name. The thing is, with a hand ground blade, you get some issues. He takes it down a grinding wheel, and so down here at the tip, it's a little bit different. So I needed something, it's not marrying up the tip, so I have to take a little bit more metal off. So I needed a coarser stone. So this one is going to wind up doing the lion's share of the work. I don't like using this stone too much because it wears out so quickly, and it's the last one of these that I had. Couldn't find one when I went to Japan this time. So I don't know. I'm hoping I'm hoping maybe next year they'll have them. Maybe this one will last me a year. But the stone wears pretty quickly. As you can see, it builds a really, that's just mud. That's mud and metal. So as it comes apart. So I'm not sure if you can clearly see that, because let me get my head around here. Yeah, so you can see, I mean, that's the matrix that I've always talked about when you guys hear me talk about these videos. The light's getting kind of crappy out here right now, position of the sun. So I think I'm going to stop this for a little bit. This knife, I'm not going to be able to finish it really fast. This is something I'm going to work on. So anytime I'm working on it, I'll videotape it. So you've heard me say it before, I don't like sharpening my own knives just for the sake of sharpening or just to do a video, because I'm wearing out my stones. It's not cost effective for me. Before, when I was just sharpening my own knives, now that this is that was fine, but now this is a business, I don't want to wear out materials and incur overhead. So there's a lot of times that my knives could use a sharpening and they don't get it, which is kind of out of character for me. Alright fellas, I'm going to pause this, stop recording so I can get some better shots. This video might not actually ever make it up on YouTube, depending on how it looks, because I can't see what I'm recording right now. Alright guys, you know how I was saying these stones build up a slurry? Well, I didn't use anything to do this. I just started sharpening. Now you missed a couple stones in there just because the sun was just, it was impossible for me to do this, and it's still pretty bright and you're not going to get it, but I just can't move back into the kitchen right now. The wife would flip, if I tore the kitchen up. I mean, you can see it's messy. But basically what this is that's a mixture of the steel that's coming off the knife and the stone itself. And so you wind up with that matrix, and you can see it's coming off a white stone and it's turning black, so it's eating up some metal there. But this is a fairly fine stone. I am currently just refining the edge. Now this knife is not going to get, I don't think, a mirror polish. I don't think this knife needs a mirror polish. This is not that kind of knife. This knife is something that I'm going to use for working purposes and things like that. So it's going to get more of a, this might be the final stone for this knife. It's going to get more of a working edge than some of my other knives that I carry, that you'll see me put the, like I say, that mirror edge that I put on the knives that I carry a lot of times it's just me showing off, guys. It really is. It serves two purposes. On the knives, on my expensive knives, my really expensive knives, I like the aesthetics of a polished edge, but it also acts as an advertisement. People see what I can do, and then they might not necessarily need that polish of an edge, but we can determine what their needs are. So alright, yeah, this is just a real quick, I want to show you. I have to take my daughter ice skating here in a little bit, I think. So this is, I might actually, this went a good bit faster than I thought it was going to when I told you earlier that I might not be able to finish this all in one shot, because it was poorly ground. The metal cut real well on that coarser stone. And then I went up a couple grits. I think that this is a 3000 grit, if I remember correctly. I may hit it on my 5000, my really fine 5000, but that would be it, And then this steel is not a steel. If you've got one of these and you want to sharpen it and you're doing it yourself, this is not a steel that you would want to put a lot of pressure on. It's not a super hard metal that would require a lot of pressure for you to cut. So I'm gonna wipe this off, I'm gonna bring it up, and I'm trying to focus in and show you the lamination so that you can see the two different steels where they come together. You can see it on the edge. So basically that's going to be the stopping point for right now. I don't know, we'll see what we'll do. If I decide I'm going to take it up any further to a super high polish, I may bring you along for that. Something I forgot. I just had to do it, and I didn't even think about it. As you're sharpening with a water stone, they have a tendency to, that slurry builds up and then it dries up. Don't wipe the stone off. What you do is you just put a couple drops of water on it and then go back to sharpening. That matrix will still be there. You can see if it's too thick, it can load the stone. If it's not thick enough, it's not going to cut. But I mean, even if you get too much water on it, it's still going to have that abrasive quality to it. And like I said, your water, put a big bucket of water that your stones are in. I would recommend about a tablespoonful of baking soda, just to change the pH so that you're not getting, you can see it's starting to do it now. I don't know if I've got enough baking soda in my water. It's starting to turn orange. where it's actually corroding on the stone. And you don't want that, because then you got to take it out, take it off. And, so especially when you're dealing with carbon, the higher carbon steel. So, all right, guys. Hey guys, well, we're gonna see how that came out. But the one thing that I realized I didn't explain to you or show you guys was how to build a slurry with a nagiti stone. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab one of my stones. And 2 reasons you'd use a nagiti stone. If you look, my naniwa, my 5000 naniwa, is kind of loaded in spots where there's metal that's in, and it also has got this. So the nagiti stone allows you to do a little bit of cleanup, take those spots that are loaded. It's kind of dry. I didn't give it very much time to soak, but it allows you to do that. And what happens is this stone comes apart, and there we go. There's a little bit cleaner. So what you're gonna see is it starts to build its own slurry. Can you see it? And it's just a way to get that abrasive matrix started faster. So yeah, just real quick, realized I hadn't done it. I finished sharpening that knife. We'll see how the video turned out here in a little bit. All right. So cleaned up all my mess and wanted to. Now I didn't go for a mirror, but it wound up being a mirror. That's 5000 grit. So the laminate, the metal that's in the middle, the harder steel, it polished up super nice. But if you look, the other steel, the steel that's the softer casing, didn't. And it gives us this neat, I mean, it really stayed, like you can still see scratch marks. And I'm like, it gives it a really cool contrast. So just wanted to show you the end result. So this knife, I will eventually do a review on it after I carry it some, just like I promised my We Knives 601. We'll get a review after I've carried it for a while. I'm not going to send it back. I'm just going to fix it myself. I don't want to have to deal with shipping and additional costs and things like that when I could just do it myself. So I will do a review on that, but I also am going to do a review on this. And I really like this. I might get a couple more of them just because there's only one guy that makes these. Higo no Kami is a traditional knife. There was a Knife Makers Guild that was based on making this knife. They had come up with it, and I can do a little bit more research on it maybe, and I'll talk about it when I do the actual review. But basically, there's only one guy that still makes these under that name. So I would like to have a couple, you know, just because he has no successor. There's no one that's taking his place. So I just wanted to kind of make sure I had one. I got one of these for Chris and Elliot Williamson. I got one of these for Robert Bottinger. I got one for Andy over at Nowpack. I got one for my friend Mario. I got a couple for friends of mine here. You know, one of my friends just made Chief. So they were a nice little unique souvenir. So there will be a review video on this though. I like this little knife. What I'm thinking is I'll get a little pocket slip for it, and then that old knife that my father gave me is just getting to the point where I can't carry it anymore. The blade's starting to get loose, and I don't want to ruin it by carrying it. So this might become a replacement, something I can carry as just a small knife for little small tasks. So all right, you guys, there's gonna be another video coming. Something interesting happened Friday night when I was up at Elliot Williamson's shop. I got really drunk up at Elliot's shop, and Elliot gave me something. I remember it, but Elliot gave me a pretium that was in his shop that he said, just, I don't care what you do with it, I just don't ever want to see it again. Take it. Because I had said I wanted to look at Elliot's not first knife, but first mid-tech style knife like he's doing now, which is the run of, he did a run of 100. And then now he's doing runs of 200, and I was kind of carry that knife for a while and see what the differences are between then and now and do a video about that. All right, you guys take it easy. Have a good weekend.